Good day to you and how you be, everybody. Jan Agosto here. Welcome to Taino Ink. Oh man, that sandwich. Oh man, that bacon, egg, and cheese and mozzarella sticks on a honey bun. I chose the frosted honey bun. That is a staple here in the Bronx, man. Oh, delicious. I don't have it often, but when I do, oh my God, it's so delicious. And if you guys notice, when I was exposing the screen and washing the stencil off, the emulsion color is different. Usually I use a blue one. I'll try it out. This new one from Ecotex, the LED photopolymer emulsion, and it's from Screen Print Direct. But I wanted to test it out, and let me tell you, what a difference. What a difference, because when I rinse the ink side, then I turn the screen around and I start washing the stencil off. Usually I have to wash the front side and let it sit there for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and then rinse it off. This one, once I turned it around and I started washing it off, it just washed off easy. It looked like butter. It just came out so fast. So far, I like it. Always, whenever there's a new product coming, ink, degreaser, haze, emulsion, anything new from the company that comes out with, buy it. Do not stay stuck with your old, product, because you have to move forward with it. Sometimes most of the time, when they come with something new, they actually fixing some mistakes from the one before. So this one, the LED photopolymer emulsion Ecotex at Screen Print Direct, go check it out. It's really good. At LED, I exposed it at 20 seconds, and it did the job. It says 13, but I did 20 because I really want to expose. And the way the stencil came out fast, I guess I got it right there at 20 seconds. So that's a good one. Go check it out. Okay, we're going to have a good show today. I'm going to be answering some comments. And we're going to be talking about whoever saw the Monday Night Football. I'm a big Jets fan. So, oh man, I've been pumped up to watch this game. I've been watching all the preseason games, which I rarely do because of Aaron Rodgers. So I'm pumped up thinking playoff, maybe Super Bowl. And I can't believe that 4 snaps and Aaron Rodgers gets injured. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. He didn't even get to throw a pass. Nothing like that. He's out for the whole season, I found out yesterday. Crazy. So for the Jets, and especially the Jet fans, they all see it as a disaster. And this is what I'm bringing this topic. This topic is about, disasters. Disasters in life is going to happen. It's part of life, So if you have a business, a small business, and you're the only worker, like the way I am and a lot of you are, that you work by yourself. So just imagine that you have 5, 10 orders to do that week, and an accident happens. It's called disaster. Like I get into a car crash, now I'm in the hospital for about a month or so, or I get sick, or something comes up, I go to the doctor and, to do a physical, and they find something like cancer, God forbid. These are called disasters, but you cannot let these disasters put you on the ground and stay on the ground, because if you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to start using drugs, alcohol, you're going to be angry, you're going to be a victim, you're going to hate God. You're just going to go through a rabbit hole that is going to be sometimes hard to get out. Because now you're just miserable, you're just down there, you think you cannot do it again. When you start, especially with screen printing, you started a business at the beginning, you didn't know nothing about screen printing, you only got an idea, you didn't know how to run the business, you didn't know how to answer emails, you didn't know orders, you didn't know, and you grow, but then something happens like that. If you have to start all over, think about it. It's going to be much easier because you already have done this. You already done it. It's already been there. So don't let a disaster hurt you. It's the wrong thing to do. I think everyone goes through a disaster. Well, I think my mom is the only one I think that I can think of gone through a disaster. Oh no, I'm wrong. Yeah, I was the disaster. Having me was a disaster for because I was not a good kid. At 10 years old, all the way to my teens, man, I was a bad kid. I'm a parent of 4 kids, and none of my 4 kids put them together don't even come close to how I was, man. Oh, man, I stressed my mom up, man. I'm sorry, Mom. But that's the only disaster that she went through. But we all go through disasters. And what we have to understand is that we have to get up. Don't just stay on the ground complaining and whining. Get up, because sooner or later you're going to do it. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, going through that. You have to sooner or later get up. So might as well dust off your shoulder, get up, and go do it again. If something didn't work out, figure it out. If it's not for you, go look for something else. But disasters is gonna happen in life, no matter what. Every day that we wake up, we in the risk of disaster, especially us that we work for ourselves. We don't have no employee, you know, and imagine something like that happens. That means you're gonna lose clients. You might lose your shop. You might have to sell your equipment just to get through that disaster. But once you get through it, get up and start all over again. Start all over again, because us screen printers that work by ourselves, we have to be very careful. If something like that ever happens where you lose all your clients, you know, they're not going to come back to you because you let them down. They were waiting for those shirts. You didn't provide. So what they're going to do? They're going to go somewhere else. So when you start all over again, what you do is you reach out to those clients. Reach out to those clients and give them 75% off or 50% off, something to get back, because if they were with you for a while, that means they really like your prints, they really like your service, so they're gonna come back and they're gonna understand, especially when you open the door as giving them, you know, a little discount. They're gonna go for it, man. So let's just remember, disasters are gonna happen. Don't let them take you down, okay? So now I'm gonna answer some comments, and I'm gonna talk about some tips and tricks I saw Printavo do, and I want to share them with you, because I think out of those 3, there was one that I really like. I'm gonna start implementing that in the shop. I really like that. So right now, let's answer some comments. The first comment comes from Tees Print and Apparel. Do you have a how-to video for this? I have some nylon jackets, water-resistant jackets coming in, and heard it needs a catalyst. Yes. If you're gonna deal with these coaches jacket, anything that's nylon, you will need a nylon bond agent. I think is one of these here, nylon bond agent. And yeah, you could just put about 10% on the ink, but you have to. If you print that jacket without no catalyst, it's gonna crack, it's gonna wash off, it's gonna start, it's not gonna bond to the nylon. But with this agent, with the nylon bond agent, it will help. It will just do nice. And the good thing about when you're printing jackets, especially jackets that have another, you know, like fleece inside, so it's gonna be hard. You're gonna need something to hold it down. You don't need to, because once you print, especially white, just one time, just pass a few strokes, lift it up, it's gonna look, the opacity is gonna look there. You don't need to flash and do another one, unless it's, you know, a few colors that you have to do. Now you're gonna need that. But one color print, usually those jackets are printed one color with the coach's name or on the back the team's name. But yeah, you will need a catalyst. Okay, comment number 2 is from Learn Thrive Compassion 422. Can I apply the emulsion in light, then place it in the dark after I apply the emulsion? Yes, you do, but you have to make sure that the light that you're using is LED. You could have LED in your whole room. You could open up your emulsion and coat your screens. You see everything what's going on. If it's good, you don't have to do it in the dark. But as long as when you're gonna place it in the rack or wherever you're gonna let the screen to dry, make sure it's dark. Cover it up with something, because even though it's not exposing at that moment with the LED, but if you leave that screen there for 2-3 days on the light with the LED, it's gonna start exposing. It's just gonna expose very slowly, but it's enough time for you to take 5-6 screens and coat them up. with that emotion there, with the light on, you could do it. But you need to do, you need to have LED lights. You cannot have that regular fluorescent or regular light bulbs. No, it's gonna ruin the emotion, okay? Question number 3 comes from Eureka25. Hello, great video. I have a question. Can I use a heat press to cure the ink? Yes, you could. To use a heat press, you don't have a conveyor dryer, you don't even have a flasher. You're gonna need these 2 things. You're gonna need a heat gun. Get yourself a heat gun, go to Home Depot, get yourself a heat gun. I think they cost like $40. And you will need to dry the ink a little on your palette, tap it, make sure that it's like a flash. You're gonna just tap it, and then you take it to the heat press. Once you take it to the heat press, make sure you take it to, depending if it's the regular Rapid Cure ink at 270, put it at 270, and press it and leave it there for about, let's say, 15 seconds. I think it'll cure, and the beauty of that is going to leave at the end a nice smooth feel. And with the heat press, it's best to use a plastisol transfer paper or parchment paper. If you have the Teflon, it's going to give you a little shine, you know, depending if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for that matte finish that is matte, no glossy look, use a parchment paper or a plastisol transfer paper. That's the one I use. Those are good. Okay, question number 4, it comes from Adela Rodriguez, 5614. What's the best program to use? The best program for me to use, and I recommend that to even the students that come to take my class, is Photoshop. The reason Photoshop is one of the best ones there, but if you don't know Photoshop, there's thousands of videos on YouTube that is showing you how to do things in Photoshop. And when it comes to screen printing, you're not going to use a lot of the tools in Photoshop. You might just use the moving tool, the magic wand, you know, and then the box on the top, the file, the layers. It's not a lot of tools. Very easy to learn. All you have to do is go watch YouTube and learn, because I still, to this day, I watch some YouTube videos of Photoshop and learning, because everything I have learned in Photoshop been through YouTube. So yeah, YouTube is the best. If you're looking for another software, you might have issues unless you know somebody that could show you how to, you know, understand that software. But other software is hard to find them on YouTube. You might find a few, but not a bunch. Don't even come close to the amount of videos on YouTube about Photoshop. So I recommend Photoshop, and it's like what, $15 I think a month, Photoshop. Why not? Okay, the last one is from John 1805. What if you start getting stencil drag in the middle of a job? Is that still an off-contact issue? Well, it could be an off-contact issue, because especially if you're dealing with a rear clamp, head clamp, sometimes it tends to get a little lower. That might happen. The other reason is the stencil, the mesh, the tension of your mesh. That could be also a problem. Just because you've been using it for about a year or so, you think it's still, you touch it, you think it's still good. No, it's already, that means some micro movement is going on that mesh. When you're passing that squeegee or pulling or pushing, that mesh is moving, and I go through that issue. The moment that happens, I get rid of the mesh. I don't even deal with it. I do not re-stretch meshes. I go buy another pack of 6 of whatever number I need. I need 110, I'll get a whole box. Always refresh your meshes, because that's the most important. That's what gives you a perfect, beautiful, crispy print. It all has to do with the mesh. The other thing that could be also is that people intend to put a lot of ink on the mesh. You know, on your screen, they just place it. They don't want to go back and forth and putting a little and go back again. They try to put a lot of it, man. How do you know if you're putting a lot of ink? Is when the corners is too much ink and your squeegee, the handle already has ink. That's 2 signs. Too much ink on the handle, like this here. If there's a lot of ink on your handle here, you're putting too much ink. Now, if you don't have a lot of ink and you're still getting ink right here in your handle, that means you are either too low, the angle is too low, that means you have to raise it up. And when you're going through that drag stencil, that means just move it up a little. Move it, don't take it like this if you're doing like this, just move it up a little more angle and come in and find out those. But most likely has to be the stencil or the off contact, and I will go with, look at that stencil. It's most likely the stencil because I go through it. I have gone through it where everything looks good, but at the end when I'm pulling the top here of the shirt, it already has some extra ink, and I don't have a lot of ink. I have a perfect angle on my squeegee, and then I realize it's the mesh. It's the mesh already. The mesh is already moving a little, and that's it. You're gonna have that issue. You're gonna have that problem. Okay. So thank you for all the comments. Remember, just throw comments. I cannot answer all the comments on YouTube. I'm all over the place. It's very hard to do. But at least I'll read them, and then I'll try to get some good questions and put it here. But thank you all for all the questions. Now, let's talk about the printable tips and tricks, man. I was watching it the other day, and I said, I want to talk about that. I'm going to put it here, and oh, man. Good tips, man. Good tips, especially for the one that wants to cure the ink. Eureka 25, this is good. This is going to show you even a better way to even much easier to heat press and all that is perfect. So right now, let's check it out.
All right, here's a very simple one that helps. If I'm only printing on the top half of my screen, although it's not a big deal to reach back here and then have to bring it back and then drop it back there, it is wasted energy. I've seen a lot of people use hacks that put like a ruler or something along that. What I find helpful is a very simple bungee cord. So I'll go ahead and attach that bungee cord to that knob right there, stretch it around, and now when I'm done with my stroke, I can just drop it right there.
See, that with the bungee cord, I'm gonna do that one. It's okay, but I like to keep it back there because I'm doing exercises. My exercises every time I'm on the press. But this also only for people that have side clamps. If you don't have side clamps and you have the rear clamp, where are you gonna put that bungee cord? So you have to find the other way, like Right Beats puts a little thing holder with a little stick here, and then he puts it this close. So it's much easier, it's better. But if you have side clamps and you wanna use a bungee cord, that is one right there.
There, put it up, and it's ready to go back when I come right back down, right within my reach. No more wasted time.
The only thing I think about is the risk of that bungee cord is moving. When you lift, it moves, and it might just move it in a way that it's gonna drop, and then it's gonna drop right where there's ink or something. That's the only thing I don't really agree with, but it works. It helps out. A little bungee cord don't cost nothing.
On a manual press, you do that all day long. Every little bit of energy counts. Great simple hack to help you save some time and some energy. So here's a simple hack when it comes to how to line up your job on press.
This is the one that I'm gonna implement. I have my registration marks, but I'm gonna put this line that's gonna let me know. He's gonna show you is a great tip.
Now I've seen lots of variations of this, so whatever works for your shop, make it work, and it's the best thing you can do. This is an example of what we do here at Sound and Fury. So this top line right here, not only do we nest what we're gonna print over it, but that top line's actually the top of the palette line, and then of course we've got the center spot too. So let me show you what this looks like once it's translated to film. So here we've got a screen, it's got a peace sign, and we have that line up top again. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the mark on the platen, we see that center line, and I'm gonna use this top line to actually line it up to the top of the platen. So now I line that up right there, make sure that I'm lined up in my center.
Great idea. From now on, I'm gonna put my films, I'm gonna add that line to, all you gotta do is go to Photoshop, you see your registration template that you have, all you gotta do is create that line, make sure, and now you understand where you're gonna put that screen, and you know it's nice and straight, and right where you put the shirt, that you have the collar right on top of the palette, then 3 fingers down, then you have it right there. Great tip.
And now I've got it dropped down perfectly where when I load the shirt just to the collar, the tip right here, and then now that 1/2 inch collar comes down about there, and I'm 3 fingers or about 2 inches down from that collar, giving me perfect placement. All right, so people ask me all the time, what's the quickest and best way to apply?
This is one I started to do very good. This is the other one I already been using it every time I want to put my palette tape. This one is a nice tip.
Palette peel. If you've been doing it for a long time, you've already got a great method to do it. If you're newer, it might be giving an issue on air bowls, things like that. Here's how I've always trained people to do it and what works for me. So first thing is I make sure that I've got the right palette tape. This one's a little bit bigger than the palette. You may choose to use one that's the exact size, whatever's best for you. Give it a little bit of a lip, bring it back to the edge. I then grab that lip, I use my wrists and my forearms, and I just roll it forward. I do that, and then I drape it down, make sure it's connected, bring it back.
I do that. What I do, see that he left his, right on the back of the palette, he left the tape like that. Me, I'll just now take it and put it under the palette so when I start moving, it don't pop up, because sometimes it's gonna happen. So I might as well just close it, wrap it around the palette, right on the back of the palette, and then start stretching.
Keep your knife handy nearby. When you get to the edge, go ahead and cut it. Then I actually use the palette tape itself to help make sure it's nice and smooth. If you get any creases, all you gotta do is nicely lift it up.
And that's what I like about this tip, because now you're using the roll to, you know, get all the air bubbles out of there, and it works perfectly. I used to just use like a little squeegee or something like this here. Like when you do the windows, the little hard one here is yellow, and I used to just try to get it all out, and it's more work, but this one just keeps it nice and easy. All the bubbles get out, there's no air pockets nowhere. Really good. Try it. Try it.
Up, and again, use that palette tape to make sure it's nice and smooth, and then you have perfect palette peel every time. So maybe you've got a shop that's a manual shop like mine. Maybe you're having a hard time getting the high-end quality that the automatic press down the block is getting at their shop. Now there's other things you can do to help that, but one sure trick is you can use a heat press afterward. So if I look at this print, it looks really good, but there is a little bit of texture to it because
I use it where I don't use the heat press for all the jobs. That's an extra fee. So whoever wants that, you tell them, it's like, look, this print you're gonna still feel, but if you want it smoother, much smoother, finer, it's gonna feel lighter, that's an extra charge. That's an extra charge, because after I'm done with 100 t-shirts already printed, they're already cured, I'll take it to the heat press, and then I heat press one by one. And this one, once you do that, all you gotta do is keep it at 300 and just leave it there for about 5 seconds, and then it's gonna give you that smooth feel. But for the ones that gave the comment about curing the ink, this method, what he does with the heat press, you could also do this. It is just gonna help. It's just gonna be amazing.
We are manually pushing through on a manual press. You can use a heat press like this one, and you can actually press that in and create a smoother surface. It's gonna help with wash fastness, durability, and it's gonna make your shirt look probably even better than the.
And that's what you tell your client. You tell your client, if you want this extra thing to the shirt, what's gonna help it is you're gonna pay for a little extra, but it's gonna, durability is gonna last longer, it's much better, feels smoother. But that word, durability, they're gonna understand that. They say you're gonna wash it, it's not gonna, nothing's gonna go, it's gonna be there for a long time. And that's another way to have an add-on to your client when there is, you know, instead of let me charge you for some tote bags and all that, charge them. And charge them, I think it's like 25 cents. 25 cents just for that extra little heat press, extra little time. So not bad. 4 shirts is already $1.
One getting printed down the road on the auto. Oh, perfect timing, it's done. Let's take a look. Move it out of the way. peel this off, and here we can see that nice comparison of what it looked like previously to what it looks like now. It feels softer, it feels smooth.
You see the difference? The one he's holding that was not heat pressed, it still has this little glossy look. Even the color kind of got much better, but it's much smoother, finer. It's one of the best things. And if you are starting, I'll recommend that do this to some clients that you know that they want something real nice. They're looking for a printer that is smoother. They're gonna compare it to their previous work with another one. They're gonna see the difference, and that could bring that client in. And then you let them know that you did this free of charge, so you could see, and then they're gonna come and want to always like that.
Smoother, it's gonna have better stretch and wash fastness. Highly recommend that you do this if you're a manual shop. If you're an auto shop, you can do this. You can also use inline irons on your press to get the same look. Another really easy hack you can do with your heat press is you can use different kinds of material, paper, as a barrier between the hot plate and the substrate. So commonly you see a lot of folks using a Teflon sheet. That works well.
Like I said.
One thing with Teflon though is it will leave a very high gloss sheen to the actual print. I tend to like less of a sheen and more of a matte look. So I'll either use a piece of transfer paper that I use to make my screen printed transfers, or I'll use parchment paper. Parchment paper is a go-to for me because not only can I use it and help create a very matted down look for my heat press, but I can also attach it directly to the platen. So some of those ones you see that are Teflon sheets, they might have sleeves that kind of go over it. That works, but again, if you don't want that gloss, what can you do? This is a great time saver to not have to put this sheet down every single time. All I do is cut it a little bit longer. I also notch out a little bit.
This method that he's gonna use is with the parchment paper. With the plastisol transfer paper, it's not big enough. It's not gonna wrap around the heat press. So no, if you wanna just, the way he's gonna do, wrap it around the heat press, then use a parchment paper.
On the back, just because as I curl it up around the hot plate, there are some cords back here that I need to make sure to open up for. So I'm gonna bring this all the way to the back, just like that, bring it around, and then I'm going to close it. Once it's closed, I can fold it up over, and I can go get some very cheap.
And I love that idea of him using magnets. That's gonna stay there for a while till you get the job done. You don't have to be moving the paper in and out. Perfect, perfect.
Hold it on there, tuck the back up, tuck the back up as well. Use the magnets over there. And now I have it stuck to the hot plate. It can handle the heat. It's parchment paper. It's meant to be able to handle the heat. Handle the heat, no problem. And now all I have to worry about is loading on my garments, pressing them, and taking them off. And I'm keeping a nice barrier between the hot plate. If I need to change it out, no problem changing it.
So yeah, those are nice little hacks, man. The one with the film, that I'm gonna implement. The one putting your palette tape, use that. Try it, use that method, and it's gonna be much easier. And this part here with the heat press, putting that parchment paper over speeds up your process. It's all about speed. So these are great hacks. The little bungee cord, I kind of like it. You gotta try yourself, but remember you're gonna need some side clamps for that. So those are the hacks of the day. I want to thank Printavo for showing this video. You go to Printavo. Look at all the videos. They got a lot of videos. Printavo, when you go to their channel, they also talk to you about the business side of it. I watch most of their videos. Very good channel to watch to learn the in and out of screen printing. Their channel is pretty good for that, man. So if you like this video, press that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Be thankful always, be grateful always, and just let God take you on the ride. Peace out.